Welcome you all to the ACG Kolkata new webinar session. Today, Mohammad Sirajuddin will discuss about the thing to consider the Sitecore Headless Development from the scratch. He is Sitecore MVP 2024 and is also is senior Sitecore developer. So over to you, Siraj, and best of luck.
Thank you so much, Kaushik, for the introduction. And welcome you all for the session. Thank you so much for attending this session, considering me as a good tutor for this particular topic, at least in from the Sitecore Headless Development from the scratch. So before we move on to the topic and I introduce myself. I'm Muhammad Sirajuddin. I'm having 13 years of experience in IT industry and having more than 10 years of experience in Sitecore. Since 2013, I started working in Sitecore 6.5 to Sitecore 10.4 right now. Yeah, I'm very passionate guy to learn and apply the stuffs on my own. So even if I get the opportunity, I don't get the opportunity, I don't think about that. But yeah, I'm a guy who creating the opportunity, and I will create the opportunity. I will learn and apply the stuffs. And my biggest positive is I will never say no before involving and analyzing the stuffs. And first I will involve and analyze and everything. After that only I consider whether I can say no or not. I never say no in my first point. That's my biggest positive attitude I could take. So I hope, okay, sharing the knowledge will improve. So one small course I have to start with everywhere, wherever I go. Respect the people, whichever position you go. So then the people will start respecting you. So this is a kind of a thing I believe. This is a kind of a give and take policy, respecting peers, respecting nature, everyone around the world. Okay, that should be the talking point. Okay, so we should be at least we should try to follow it. Yeah, so I'm going out of topic now. Let me pitch into the agenda. So this is agenda of topic Sitecore the headless development. I'm just going to the theoretical overview of what is the Sitecore headless, and I'm not going to disappoint any beginner. As a beginner, I'm going to show you how to start with the JSS installation. But to be honest, I can say, okay, I'm not going to install anything in this session because that would consume my effective hours. Definitely, I'm going to show how to install. I will give the reference. Definitely, that would help a lot for as a beginner. As a beginner, some questions in mind. So I will definitely clear all the questions, whatever the questions we pitch in with the Sitecore headless development in between. What are the questions will be coming? So I'm trying to answer it. As a beginner, how are we happy to set up our first headless application? We are going to see that as well. And skill level transfer from the beginner. Okay, we can't say I am a beginner to the headless, I'm beginner to the headless, right, for all the day. So anyway, we have to move from the beginner to the intermediate and then advanced skill. So here I can show how we can transfer our transformation from the beginner to the intermediate to know how to set up the front end and back end and response refactoring. We are going to talk about that options as well from the REST point of view and GraphQL point of view. So then what is the serialization, why serialization applies, and what are the deployment options, and many more for the future realistic thing. So when it comes to the Sitecore headless point of view. So let me straight away put in. So first questions, yeah, wherever we go, it comes to mind, okay, why headless? So headless is the talking point, right now in the modern world. Everybody is saying headless. Previously, we had the applications are running in the back end, the front end also. We have a JavaScript, we have a HTML, we know the rendering points, how it renders, how the web server responds. We know all these talking points, but why this headless come into the picture? Which means we are going towards the fancy UI. So we are moving towards the fancy and the modern world. So they are now coming up with the different devices like a smartphone. We have the virtual reality. We have the AI enabled devices. So it's scare us. Okay, so how we are going to handle it? Somehow in the older method to the newer method we have to apply, right? That newer method is the headless. This headless CMS architecture, what it actually speaks is it separates the backend content functions. Like we are managing some content somewhere and we create some components, we manage somewhere and we store somewhere. The data will be there. So that will be separated. And the front end applications, the front end people and the front end library, what it says, what it actually says is, okay, you just don't worry about the data. So data will be coming directly from the backend. So I can get it from anywhere. But the front end application will say, I will take care of the presentation and the delivery. This separation is the headless. So what challenges it is overcoming? So this overcome the challenges to connect with the devices. Because if we have any of the API, any of the third-party library to fetch the data means any devices like a smartwatch, virtual reality, or AI-enabled devices can get the data, right? So that's the beauty of the thing. So that it is overcoming those challenges as well. It also supports modern UI frameworks. I already talked about the UI frameworks like the fancy UIs. Everybody is seeing oof, the blush and the crackers and the Diwali kind of celebration mode. When you click, the video is coming up with some celebration mode video. Like so, this kind of the UI is attracting the users. So this is not the simplest way to do it only in the JS and the jQuery. So right now we have the companies, we have the corporates, okay, they are always focusing on their libraries, like Facebook is focusing on the React libraries, Google is focusing on the Angular, likewise Vue, Next.js is on top of the React, okay, it's a next platform. So it is giving the more features out of it. This is giving some modern fancy UIs. That's why it supports all the modern frameworks and building interactive and responsive user interfaces. I was talking about that to attract the customer experience for the marketers as well. So this headless, what it provides, headless people, okay, they don't care about the data. So the data would be still, if you see lorem ipsum, this is the data. The data is constant. So they are not talking about the data. Their talking point is how the customer is going to receive that from the user interface. So to show the preview of the application very sooner than the traditional CMS, right? Okay, traditional CMS means it will be tightly coupled with the backend. We already experienced that. So ASPX, web control, Sitecore as well, we know, Sitecore MV cell, so you know, that is tightly coupled with the presentation. We can't do so. We always depend on the backend. We always depend on the backend developers. So we can't do anything in the front end, and we can't show it immediately to the selling people, right? So for the marketers, we can give some UI. We can assume the data will be coming like this. So data from where it is coming, it doesn't matter. So data will be coming like this. It will be showing like you. So this is the kind of the starting point for the marketers as well to show some preview to the customers. That is also one advantage we can say it. So whenever it comes to the headless, so now we talked about the headless. Headless means it's a common term. So WordPress has this headless, and Adobe Experience Manager has the headless. We have other competitors as well. So they also have the headless implementation. But the Sitecore headless, okay, concept we have to understand theoretically first. So what Sitecore headless development is basically doing? So Sitecore development is basically separating the front end and the back end. This is how we named us as a rendering host. Rendering host is nothing but this the front end, and Sitecore instance is nothing but that is the back end. So we separated these two. So whenever the users hit the request in the site, okay, it goes to the web server, it activates the rendering host. Rendering host is nothing but the front end app. The front end app is always receiving the data from the layout service. The layout service is the concept in the Sitecore. It provides the composition of the data, which is still there in the Sitecore. So once the composition of the data, if we fetches from the layout service, the layout service client passes the data model to the rendering engine. The rendering engine renders the data model and your code and the static resources, everything, and the final response will be returning it to the visitor, which means the Next.js will be running all the UI frameworks. The data will be fetching from the layout service, and the data model will provide the data to the front end, and front end will show our data. This is how the Sitecore headless works. So we are going to see the demo, okay, how it is working. And so whenever we are talking about, just think from the beginner point of view. So if we talk these things in front of the beginners, what they will think. So how we are going to do that? How we are going to start it? So if even the new person, this is a big headache, right? Right? Okay. Even I have some experience in that. Okay. I talk a lot about it. But if some new person comes into the picture, if he see about this Sitecore headless concept, definitely he has some kind of challenges. Definitely he will think, right? Okay. That's why decision already has been made. As a beginner, we will definitely fear to start. This is everyone's cup of tea. Don't scare and don't think, okay, this is too much. This is too much for my experience. This we can't do or like that. So because when we start, everything will be dark. Everything will be in a hidden stage. So we have to try to unlock that. So we have to try to unlock. We have to try. This is everyone's cup of tea. Even Sundar Pichai or Satya Nadella, when they start the career, something they found it very beginning, right? So they might have seen that in a very fresh mind only. So they don't know anything. So they have not born from the technical background, right? Okay, so everything they are getting into the experience. So everything they getting into the experience. That's why I just teaching the beginners. So this is a kind of everyone's job. Everyone will face this whenever the decision made. So don't fear to start it. Yeah. So we are going to show the demo because we talked a lot for last 10 minutes about the Sitecore headless concept. Now we are going to show the demo how to start and what are all the options. And for the headless development, okay, we have the two options in the Sitecore headless journey. And one is the installation through the CLI. So we have a CLI installation, and second one is the Docker. So Docker is, I haven't tried that because in my learning experience, nobody asked me to do it in a Docker. Docker is only the option. So I have done a lot through the CLI method. So that's how I'm going to show. But there are a lot of references available in online for the Docker setup as well, how to do the Sitecore setup, Sitecore headless setup in the Docker. So you can refer if you really wanted to do it in a Docker. But Docker is one of the container which runs background. That doesn't matter. That doesn't stop anything. So I'm going to show the installation through the CLI. And JSS term is currently changed now as a Sitecore headless. So JSS is a JavaScript services. So now it is changed as a Sitecore headless. Everybody has started talking about the Sitecore headless. Nobody is saying the JSS. Now this term is currently changed. I just wanted to say that. This is the installation document. I already have it. I already, yes. Yeah. I'm not going to do any installation here, but it will definitely consume the time. Yeah. So when you start the installation, okay, just refer this documentation, open it any of the Windows PowerShell or the command window, and just go with the npm install this is the library, Sitecore.js. I'm going to use the Next.js as a framework here in my application, local application. That's why I'm using the Next.js as the option of the modern UI framework. If you wanted to use the React, if you wanted to use the Vue.js, if you wanted to use the Angular, you can still use it. Still, Sitecore supports all the modern UI frameworks. So this is how we have to start. Whenever we start, okay, it will ask a lot of questions, and we have to answer it for creating and configuring the initial setup. It will ask which template you would like to create. I just provide the Next.js. If you wanted React, then you can give the React. Where would you like to new app created? We have to give our local application that should be read and write only access should be there. And what is the name of the app? I just provided the Sitecore JSS app. It is a old this old document. Okay, here I'm using the Sirajuddin JSS app, so don't confuse that. So what is the Sitecore host name? It will ask. We before we start this Sitecore headless, our Sitecore instance should be up and running in our local. So you have to give the Sitecore local domain name, and how would you like to fetch layout. And this is the one thing. There are the two methods. for the layout and dictionary data, we have a REST and GraphQL. REST is a representational state transfer. Everybody we know, we have the get, put, post method, right? Okay, so we apply that REST method, or the GraphQL is the newer concept for complex libraries like a React and a Next.js. I will cover that as well. So I'm choosing here the REST, but going forward, okay, I'm going to change it my pre-render methods as well. Sorry, this fetching data as well. So pre-render method, we have the two options. One is the SSR and second one is the SSG. SSR is the server side rendering. Every call, each and every call, it will hit the server, it will get the data, it will throw the data whatever you want. That is the server side rendering. But SSG is a little bit different. It is everything in a build time. That means static site generation. Next.js has own features like, okay, it will create the Next.js caching, and it will be the incremental caching like that. So it will not hit everything all the time the servers. It creates the first time build, it creates the static data and static pages. So whenever you click for the request or something, it will first hit the Next.js caching, and it will get the static pages, and that is the SSG, static site generation. Whenever you have any changes in your site or something, okay, you have to go for the incremental generation. Then only the new data will be fetched from the new static pages. So this is how it works. Okay, we can choose either SSR or SSG depending on our requirement. So currently I am using the SSR, server side rendering. Would you like to include any add-on? This is a kind of boilerplate template. Here most of the people will do one mistake. Okay, before choosing the template, we just enter. We should not do like that. First of all, we have to click the space to choose the boilerplate template, and then we have to enter. So most of the people will face this issue. Whenever you are not choosing any layout, it will not work. While choosing the layout, you have to press the space bar, and then only you have to click the enter. So very careful while doing that. Which additional language? We have the additional language. We just need to create for local. I just create a DADK, Danish language, as the first step. So once you've done this, your Next.js application will create in the local like this. I already opened in my Visual Studio Code. So this is my generated Next.js application. So once the Next.js application comes, first thing is, okay, we have to run npm install to generate all the node modules. So that is the initial step for every front-end developers to run the JSS library. So once we have this Next.js, and we have to set up that Next.js, right? Okay, that is next step. For before setting up, so it should be working. There will be the two modes. Okay, let me go into that. Yeah, I already explained about the SSR and the SSG, and I explained about the REST and the GraphQL as well. And next we move. Yeah. So once we done the installation, so once we have the Next.js application, we have the disconnected mode and the connected mode we should know. So what is that? There are the two modes in the Sitecore Headless, the disconnected and connected. Disconnected mode, I already told it doesn't depend on the backend, right? So disconnected mode means we don't need any backend support. We don't need any Sitecore. So we have disconnected mode will run through the YAML file, will run through the disconnected services itself. It doesn't require any Sitecore instances to be up and running. For when you start using the connected mode, you need definitely the Sitecore instances up and running, and your data should be synced through the from front end to the Sitecore. And for that medium, we have the front end, we have the back end, we have the medium, we have some communication channel we have to build, right? For the communication channel, we have a layout services. Layout service will have the unique ID. That unique ID is called the API key. So that API key will reside in the Sitecore. It makes sure your data is secure and data is coming from this particular instance, a particular site node. From this particular API key is confirming that, and it provides the data. So I will explain about the JSS editing secret and the API host later. Let me come here again to the document. Yeah, before going into the document, first I will show the JSS disconnected mode. Then I will go to the document. Yeah. Just going into the terminal. We have the terminal and we have to start as a disconnect. Before we move into the JSS start, how it is working, I will show you. It's my responsibility. And yeah, if you go to the package.json, you see there is a start parameter. This start parameter having the JSS mode equal to disconnected. So that's why this JSS mode set as a disconnected. That's why we just provide the JSS start. If you go for the connected mode, the next I'm going to do, whenever we go to connected mode, there is nothing called the disconnector. That's why it is working as a connected mode. So here, when I click the JSS start, see, this is very important. So whenever we click, okay, you should not go anywhere. We should focus, okay, what is happening here. Some component, this is the GraphQL, this is actually the boilerplate components, and it gives the data like, see, manifest has been generated, written to Sitecore import.json, disconnected layout services initializing, which means we have in disconnected mode, we have the disconnected layout service. This is always monitoring this layout service. That's why it is working in the disconnected mode. In the disconnected mode, it will always works through the YAML file. The YAML file where it is, let me go here, the routes and en.yml. This is the welcome to Sitecore JSS content. So that's why I say the disconnected mode works with YAML file. Connected mode works from the Sitecore. Disconnected mode works from the YAML file. It is there in the root. When I go here, I just put it localhost 3000 because it is actually listening the port 3000. Okay, so localhost 3000. So welcome to Sitecore. This is the boilerplate, everybody's cup of tea, right? So this is the first page you will see whenever you have the JSS disconnected mode up and running. So we will be relaxing somehow because we up and running one mode. So now the welcome to Sitecore JSS. Now I'm going to show you some difference in the connected mode. Connected mode need the Sitecore. For that as well, we have the setup. Let me go into the document again. In this document itself, okay, once we start JSS start, we see the disconnected mode. After that, we have to consider connecting the application into the Sitecore. So that means the connected mode. In the connected mode, we have one application config file in the configuration in the Sitecore. Sitecore config, the Sitecore JSS config. Here, see, we have already the site node. Site node has the Sirajuddin JSS app. It has the host name, Sirajuddin, because we only given through the lot of questions, right? And it created the root path and created the item. So I have the site already up and running. I already have the JSS import service done. So all these steps already made. So I have this Sitecore up and running. The Sitecore JSS app is the site node. In this site node, we have the home, and this home is the starting point here. Start item, this is home. This particular app config we have to deploy somewhere. For that, we have the deployment configuration command as well. We have JSS deploy. We will just JSS setup. Once you do this JSS setup, okay, it will ask everything like whether you have to give your Sitecore where your Sitecore is residing, and what is your host name and the API key. So API key is nothing but, let me show you the API key. So if you wanted to create, I already told the API key is the medium. It is the communication point, right? Okay. Before creating the API key, how to create it? We have to go here, the system, and we have the settings, and we have the services, and we have folder called API keys. Here, right click, create API key. So once you create the API key, it will give this item ID. So I am providing this item ID over there, but that was the old document. I've given a definitely the different one. So this is how we have to give. So deployment secret and this one we can just click empty and it will generate. For this deployment secret will help for our to connect with the Sitecore experience editor that I will show you later. And so this is how the initial setup will be done. Once the initial setup done, and we have to deploy this particular config file. These config file in my local for front-end application, the Sitecore config and the deployment secret config. So these two config I have to deploy. So for the deployment, we have a command called JSS deploy. Yeah, JSS setup. After that, okay, we have a JSS deploy. Once you are done with the JSS deploy, then these two configuration file will be deployed into our Sitecore root node. So where the Sitecore root node, I was talking about the Sitecore root node again and again, but I have to show where it is. Actually, for that, I'm going to the IAS. Here, there is a CM. I am currently using the CM. Yeah, this is the root node. Here in the app config file, even if you go to the site inside the Sitecore include ZZZ, I have these two files. So now I'll just tell you, okay, I disabled this because I moved my configuration file somewhere in this app config. That's why I disabled here. So it's not required. So deployment secret, I have it. So this is the step we have to do before we set up the connector mode. Once we done that, what I'll do is, okay, I'll just go and show you the connector mode. I already showed where this start connector is configured in the package.json. See now, once you done the start connected, all the components will be rendering because we already deployed that components through the import services from front end to the back end in the Sitecore. Now it is also listening. It is listening the port, but something cut off, okay, because I was scrolling back and down, right? Okay, so now there is nothing called the disconnected layout service is listening or something, right? That means it is working in the connected mode. So the connected mode still, if you go here and go to this localhost 3000, yeah, see now the data. Welcome to Sitecore JSS from Sitecore, which means the data is coming from the Sitecore. It confirms the data already receives from the Sitecore. So how, from where this data is coming? The data is coming from page. Let me check that quickly. I think if you publish now, see here the content block one. Here we have the welcome to Sitecore JSS from the Sitecore one. So now I just put SUG Kolkata and just save it. If I see now the data is coming directly from the Sitecore. How it is happening? Okay, this will be the talking right to next. So the API key I already talked. So where this API key is actually playing and where this JSS editing secret is actually playing. So I have to give this to, and yeah, this is the app config file I already showed. The app config file, we have the site node. The site has the start item and the site node section and the server side rendering configuration as well. And we have the deployment secret file that would work for the experience editor. I will show that as well. And component presentation is purely depends on the front end code, because here we have the content block 1. See, in this welcome to Sitecore JSS 1 is coming from this content block 1. This content block 1 is there in the content block. So this is actually the content block. This content block is the rendering. This content block is providing the content block 1, which means, okay, this rendering is available in the, this component is available in the front end. The related component will be available in the back end as well. Otherwise, it won't work. See here, if I go the home and if you go to presentation, if you go to the details, and if you see, there is the final layout, there is a content block. This content block is the rendering, which is already there. That's why this is working nicely. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the layout surveys and the API key. So layout surveys, I'm just copying this. I already have some data into it. So my local is this one. And okay, I'm taking the domain name here, Sitecore domain name. So first let me hit that, it will throw an error. See, this throw an error because I don't have an item like this. So I wanted to know which item. This is the layout service URL Sitecore API layout rendering, render and JSS. There are the two things. One is the one configuration is default configuration and second thing is JSS configuration. There is little bit difference, but this is not the session to explain that. But I can show you the item. The item we are going to fetch is a home item. I'm going to give this a home item ID. Just to play with. And API key is this one. See, so this is the response we are receiving. This is the item I'm expecting. This is the home item. This is the API key I'm providing. If I give the wrong API key, it won't work. So the API key we have to provide for the communication. This is the backbone of all the communication from the backend to the front end. So here I'm getting welcome to Sitecore JSS from the Sitecore SUG Kolkata 1. So if I go on here, I'm changing now. I'm checking the layout service, something you put it like LS and save it and go here and just enter. And if you see, it is coming as LS, which means, okay, this layout service is the part of the operation in between the front end and the back end. So this API key is a part of it. And JSS editing secret, why the JSS editing secret is required? The deployment secret is the JSS editing secret. Editing secret is, we have the experience editor, right? So whenever we go here, and if you go to publish and experience editor, the experience editor will open your application. So you may wonder, okay, our application resides, all the application related stuff is there in the front end. How this is working? So this is working through the JSS editing secret. That key must be there. That's why we deploy two files. One is the app config file and second one is the deployment secret file. Deployment secret file having this JSS editing secret key. That key matches our environment file config in local. I'll show you that. Here we have the env file. In the env file, we have the JSS editing secret. And this secret and the deployment secret we deployed, right? Okay, both should be same. Otherwise, it won't work. So this is why the JSS editing secret is required. So now we are happy, right? Okay, we work both. One is disconnected and the second one is the connected mode. Now all setup done. So now the experience editor also working fine. So now if you want, okay, I have the reference as well. I will share this link as well. If you wanted to go the front end, how to set up and Sitecore first and the front end setup first, and I have the reference as well. I already written the articles, and you can refer that. Yeah. So now the question is, we have the code and we have set up everything. So, but everything is in your local. So how to set up? We have to build the front end repository, right? So we know we have the source control, Azure DevOps, Git, GitHub, and there are many source control we have. So we can use anything. But here in our case, okay, we are using the Azure DevOps. So the front end code should be maintained in the source control separately. So for backend as well, we need to maintain separately in the source control, which means there will be the two separate repository. Maybe one repository, one monorepo we can use. One monorepo will be having the folder separation like front end and backend, and you can still maintain your front end code in a FE folder, backend code in a backend folder, but it should be maintained separately. See the question. When is Sitecore backend code needed? So everybody's question, right? So maybe we are seeing here the Sitecore's instance is up and running, and front end code is clearly giving the components and the data and everything. Okay, so some point of time we understand the front end code, front end repository, that's fine. What is this backend code is doing? So what kind of the things will pitch into the backend side in future? That this might be the question from the beginner's point of view. If you are the experienced or the architect, definitely you don't find these questions whenever you are working. But if you are the beginner, definitely like this guy, right? We might be thinking when this Sitecore backend code, what these guys are talking about. So next thing is mandatory files from the backend. Once we understand this, definitely we pitch in with the backend solution setup. So what is the mandatory files from the backend? So mandatory file is application specific configuration file. I already showed you application specific configuration file we need to maintain because we have the site nodes. For example, I have the only one site today. I can manage it through the only one configuration file. Tomorrow, if you wanted to create n number of application like 100 sites or 50 sites, multi-sites means I need to configure that in the application config, right? Okay, I need to maintain it separately. So I need the application specific configuration file. So content resolver. Here the content resolver. What is the content resolver? So everybody will talking about that content resolver, content resolver. What is that? So content resolver is nothing but your model building. So model building in the sense the structure the JSON provides or XML provides. Previously and all we have the XML data. So XML having huge number of web services data. So we used to work with back to 2010, back to 2009, we worked with the web services. Everybody calling web services, WCF, Windows Communication Foundation. It gives also related informations in the XML format. So after that, the people start talking about the JSON. So JSON means a JSON structure, Newton's of JSON, JSON serialization. The serialization means it has the properties. The properties means in terms of coding point of view, it is the model. Model in the sense everybody may ask, what is the model? Model means model is a class file. Class file contains what it class file contains? The class file contains the properties. Properties means fields. Fields means fields will be obviously in the Sitecore. The template has the field. That field will be reflected here in the model. So whichever field, whichever data you store it in the field, if you wanted to fetch it through the property only by using that model class. That model class is here using the structure here in the layout service. For example, I can say these fields having the heading, these fields having the content. These two are the fields, right? These two fields are programmatically termed. We call it as a model. This model is already built by Sitecore in the Sitecore layout service. It is using the layout service client. Very first slide, I talked about the layout service client. This particular model is using the layout service client. This layout service client is providing these many models. This is actually the default content resolver. Where is this content resolver resides in the Sitecore? In the Sitecore, if you go here, And if you see, there is system, sorry, services, layouts maybe on minute. Okay, I just wanted to get back in here. Sorry, modules. See, modules and the layout services and rendering content solver. So whenever you install the Sitecore headless service, this will be also installed. What is this? This is the layout service. It has the context item, children resolver, context item resolver, whatever it is. Data source filter, folder filter, Sitecore forms filter, tomorrow ABC filter, XYZ filter, anything will come. This is the resolver. So Sitecore by default, it is using the data source resolver. That's why if you give the data source in the model presentation, in the final layout, you have the data source. That's why it is rendering through the data source resolver. So this is content resolver. Okay. So there is a GraphQL. I will come to this later. And this custom code, what is the custom code here? Then content resolver we know. So this is the content resolver. This is the default content resolver. Sitecore works. For example, if I go to any of the rendering in the Sitecore, here, let me show you layouts and go to the renderings, the project. This is the content block. This is a protected, that's why. And I can unprotect because I'm admin, right? So see, here nothing is choosing, but by default, it is using the data source resolver. If I give this context item resolver, if I save this, what happens? See this. So here it is there. I just refresh. See what is coming? Something strange, right? Sitecore JSS is coming, but it is not coming as expected because I'm choosing this rendering content resolver as a context item resolver. It is taking the context, it is not taking the data source. If I choose this data source resolver, see. Maybe this might be confusing. I just Control F, Kolkata. See, this is taking the value from the data source. So everything is working through the default content resolver. Okay. So now let me turn off this none and save it. If I go here, if I refresh, again coming as normal. Sitecore Kolkata, right? Yeah. Okay. So now this is how the content resolver works. Okay. So sometimes, okay, when the custom code is required, we don't know, right? The business logic, the business only decides. So this is not the every field is not populated directly in the site. Some adjustment, some business logics will do, right? In the banking side, take an example of any banking sites, any trade sites, or the what to say, the marketing sites. On daily basis, on every minute, the data is changing, which means, okay, there might be some business logics apply in it, right? So if you do some business logics in your own model, then this custom code will pitch into that. So that time we have to definitely set up our backend solution very carefully and handle it, that handler or custom content resolver, those things separately in your backend solution. Now we understand, right? So why this backend solution required? So that's how I already set up this backup solution. Sorry, backend solution. This is my backend solution, Sitecore Headless Demo. I have Helix principle. I already set up 3 project layers: project, foundation, and the feature. And I have the environment file for the publishing. For example, I have the reference of these 3: feature, foundation, project in this environment. While doing the automation build or the manual build, okay, let me go here and just publish. If I do the publish, it will take all the references, all the content resolver codes, all the configuration file in the Helix principles. And see, if I give the publish, It will take all of them. And I already have some custom content resolver written in my code. And I'll also show you the custom content resolver, what it is. Yeah, this is publishing. Yeah, if I go to this folder, see app config. In this app config, I have the demo project configuration file. And the pin, see this DLL and feature DLL, foundation DLL, project DLL, and the required Sitecore DLLs. Because I use the layout service, that's why this Sitecore layout service DLL. Where I'm using the layout service, I'm using the custom content resolver. In the web config file as well, it will show. It will give through the publishing, right? So let me go into here, understand this concept as well. Content resolver, we already explained that custom content resolver. I'm going to show that right now. And we have the other option like the GraphQL. So GraphQL is the other option. Let me come to that later in 5 minutes. Okay, custom content resolver. So when you are a senior or a product owner comes up with some business complex business logic, so they ask you to return Siraj, okay, we are not going to create the same field over there in the response. Okay, we have to change the response somehow. So you have to do something. So that time what we have to do, so just create in the feature. I'm creating in the feature layer. I create the content resolver folder. Inside that I have the demo content resolver, this CS file. I just inheriting the rendering content resolver. This class where it resides in the Sitecore layout service. For that, I have to install Sitecore layout service NuGet package. So once I install it, I use that assembly, then rendering content resolver and then resolve contents. Okay, so it is overriding the object, this resolve contents, right? So it has already the virtual method resolve contents. So we have to override here. I'm overriding to name and the description because I have the template. I'll show you. I already created it for this demo. In the feature demo content template. In the demo content template, I have the name and description. I already created the rendering as well in the Sitecore.js app. Sorry, maybe feature, sorry, not in the project, demo content, okay. And here I have the demo page. The demo page, if I go here, demo page. Now, custom rendering content resolver Sitecore SUG Pune event. It is coming differently, right? Okay, how it is coming, I will show you. Because in my code, I have written like custom rendering content resolver data source. It is the name of my field name and the field description. Okay, so let me go here and quickly I'll show you this demo page. This demo page has the demo content. This demo content has, this is the event is now the different, right? This is not a Pune, this is a Kolkata event and presenting the different topic. Now the Sitecore Headless SH. Okay, now Sirajuddin is presenting the SH and name is Sitecore SUG Kolkata event. If I come here, if I do now, see Sitecore SUG Kolkata event, but where this is coming, custom rendering content resolver, because this is coming from the code. This is my logic. This is how you have to apply our logic. Just to think about the banking application. You get the data somewhere, some third-party data. You have to do some calculation. That calculation works not in a plus, in a multiplication. This is how our logic applies in the real time, right? This is how our model also will change it in the code itself. You can do whatever the services, you can call any third-party services, you can call any API layer services, you can call any number of fields as well, but you have to adjust it. This is how it is working, where I'm actually configuring this. Okay, you may wonder. So I'm showing this demo page, demo content, right? This demo content I created through the demo content rendering. This demo content rendering is here in the renderings. I have the demo content. I'm choosing here rendering content resolver is the demo rendering content resolver, which is customized content resolver I already created. Where I created, I already showed, which is there in the modules. Sorry, here. Templates, system, and modules, and layout service, and rendering content resolver, custom content resolver. Here, demo rendering content resolver I created. How to create? Right click, just create rendering content resolver. You have to create the type. Type is Sitecore Headless Demo is my project. This feature is my the one of the this is the project, and this is the class name, and this is this is the assembly, this is the type. This one I already deployed in my local Sitecore. So local already I showed the local Sitecore. Here, if I go here the pin, see, I already deployed all my DLLs. That's why it is working. If I remove this DLL, this won't work. This doesn't know. That's why we need the custom content resolver sometimes to adjust our model and adjust our logic. So this is how we should understand why the custom content resolver is required. What is the custom? What is the content resolver? Why the custom content resolver is required? This is how we could understand. And now what I'm going to do is I just play here in the front end. In the front end, I have the demo content. This is the demo content. I already have the fields name and description. This is coming from the service. This is coming from the custom content resolver, and custom content resolver is supporting this kind of a thing. For example, tomorrow I'm saying, my friend, so I'm not using any logic. So I'm directly going through the Sitecore. I'm not doing any logics. That time, what I'm going to do, I have to just change my logic, right? So that logic also I will show you how to. So for example, if I wanted to change, I need to go the demo content. I have to remove it from here, and I just make it none. Okay. And if I save it, if I come here, it will definitely throw an error or empty. See, nothing comes. Why? I didn't choose, because I have to adjust my front end as well. So I'm going to adjust my front end code, because this will not work. This will work only for the rendering content resolver. So my front end guy is going to revert this, refactoring this. So this will work. Maybe I'm just going to turn on this one now, and I'm going to turn off this. And this is the REST method I'm going to show. Okay. Now, if I come here and if I see, now the data is coming, because now the data is coming through the normal layout service, REST service. So the structure changes. The structure changes means front-end people also need to change their refactoring code. Then it should work. Now I come to the very important point, that is the GraphQL. So the GraphQL has the two modes, okay, which is we are running out of time. Kaushik, I will take 10 to 15 minutes extra to cover all of things.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Very sorry, man. I'll take 10 to 15 minutes extra.
And no problem. Please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so here for the GraphQL, in the Sitecore itself, they provided one rendering level. We have the GraphQL. The component GraphQL query shapes up the JSON data. Here we can store our GraphQL query. This is the integrated mode. So GraphQL integrated mode, we should not confuse with the disconnected connected mode. This is the GraphQL integrated mode. But we don't want to store it here in the GraphQL, but we wanted to store it in the front end side itself. You can store still the GraphQL query in the front end. That is the connected mode GraphQL. There is a difference. This is the integrated mode. Sitecore backend itself has provided this functionality. That's why integrated GraphQL query. If you keep your GraphQL query in the front end, means that is the connected mode GraphQL query. So here I have already I know we will be running out of time. That's why I just keep all these query at once. Oh, sometimes Control C not working. Okay, now I have this query. This query this is allowing only the data. So it is getting the data source. From the data source, I'm going to get the name and the description value. So it gives this data. This is a very simple GraphQL query. Believe me, GraphQL is very, very easy. When I start, it looking very complex. When I started working on this, I'm playing with it. Now I can say I mastered in GraphQL. So if somebody wants to learn, just to learn GraphQL, it is very, very easy. Very easy. Somebody is saying GraphQL is complex. Okay, don't believe. It's very easy. And we have to play with the schema. That's it. Just to go and do that. Yeah, so this is a very simple query. And I'm going to save it. Okay. Now my data structure change. See, I have this content block, welcome to Sitecore JS. It is inside the fields directly, right? When I click this, what is going to happen? Before that, I have to do one more thing. I forgot to do. I have to, yeah, I already did that. Okay, so we have to remove this. Okay, I already did that. And I go here and if I see, if I come now, fields, okay, but this is not expected. Maybe I'm not saving it or what. In the demo content, save it. Control F. This is not expected. Maybe let me quickly check. It should change, but it's not changing. Maybe let me go again. Check the demo content template. Yeah. Okay. Maybe let me check here. Okay, it is not coming here. Okay, so somewhere, yeah. So here, yeah, here this is not the item we are looking for, right? Okay, I was wrong. Actually, we have to item looking for the demo page. See here it broken because I changed the model now, the GraphQL mode. So now it breaks. Nothing is coming. So now I'm going to do some refactoring in the front end. So this will support GraphQL because the GraphQL gives this type of data, this structure of data. Now I'm going to come on this and fields dot data dot results dot name and here fields dot data dot results dot description. Okay, let me not confuse you guys. Let me directly take this item ID and I will show you here. If you come here, see fields, data, results. This is the GraphQL schema. GraphQL structure will work like this. Fields, data, results, and name. Name is the value, SUG Kolkata event, and description is this one. I already refactored the component structure like this. The field property structure like this. Fields, data, results, and name and description. Now, if I am going here, files. Okay, 1 minute. I have to save this. I didn't save this. See now. Now it is coming. Sitecore SUG event Kolkata. Now our application is running through the GraphQL integrated mode. So it's not running through the REST service. It's not running through the custom content resolver. Now it is running through the GraphQL mode. This is how we have to change our approach as well in between our applications. So this is not very complex, but when the application grows, it is very complex. But before our application, we should definitely understand how our application is going to behave, which is the right option. So I will tell GraphQL is the best option. What I can say, okay, why? In future, okay, I'll tell you. Okay, so now we know the content resolver, custom content resolver, GraphQL, and we have the GraphQL playground as well. So I just I'm not investing more time on this because we are running out of time. We have the GraphQL playground and we can run the playground as well. I think we have the API edge. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, so like this, you can go here and you can still do with some GraphQL data over here. See, now it is coming. So we can write the GraphQL query and we can check that as well. Okay. So luckily as question now. So this is the next question. How Sitecore items are maintaining? So now everything is ready. So we have the front end code, we have the back end code, we applied the REST method, we applied the GraphQL query, we have the backend setup, we have the custom content resolver. and Sitecore items. How are we going to maintain? In previously and all, we have the TDS and we have a unicorn. It was the license one, and we used it, right? So now from the Sitecore headless and the XM cloud, Sitecore is preferring one thing is that is the Sitecore serialization CLI. So that Sitecore serialization CLI, okay, how to do that means we have the Sitecore serialization package. Okay, we have to install that package in our Sitecore. Once you install, and we have the installation and configure from Adapt. Okay, this is a very good reference. I will give this and you can refer this. Once you've done this installation, the Sitecore CLI installation, and we have to go here in the PowerShell. Okay. First, we need to do .NET Sitecore. Before that, I need to go to where my Sitecore application, backend application resides, because these Sitecore items and all part of the backend, right? Part of the Sitecore, right? That's why I have to go into the Sitecore application where it resides. So .NET Sitecore, sorry, .NET tool restore. Once I done that, it will restore all the Sitecore CLI latest version. Okay, once we done this, we have, this is the command for connecting into the Sitecore server. So Sitecore instance, Sitecore .NET Sitecore login authority, we have to give the Sitecore identity server authority, and the CM is our Sitecore domain, and the allow write is we can it is allowing us to write anything. That is true, this command. Once we done this, it will connect to the Sitecore locally. This is my local instance. It is connected through this particular thing. It will open. Once I log in, we have to allow. Yes, allow. Once I allow, it will get authorized, right? So now I can do any pull and push to the Sitecore environment. I have a privilege. I only allow. This kind of the thing we can do it through the pipelines, CI/CD pipelines. In the Azure DevOps, we can write the pipeline, and the pipeline will do all these steps. This is not the manual steps, everything we have to do. So once you have to understand this, you have to run it in the local, how it is working. Now I connected with the Sitecore local Sitecore actually. So local Sitecore instance. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the Sitecore items. .NET Sitecore serialization SCRPULL pull. Once I done this, it says there is 0 changes right now because everything we already pull. So how this is working is, if you go to the application where it resides, I have the Sitecore JSON. This is the initial configuration when you set up that Sitecore CLI. We have the Sitecore JSON file. We have to put the Sitecore JSON file in the root node. In the Sitecore headless demo is my virtual folder of local repository. So I resides this Sitecore JSON file. It contains all the dependables. So serialization, publishing, indexing, these resources are already we actually deployed into our DLL. That's why it is actually working as expected. This is the initial stage setup. That's why I provided the Adapt installation configuration document. You can refer that. So once you've done that, we have the Sitecore, we have feature, foundation, environment, these many layers, right? I just go any of the layer. I see there is a module, feature.module. This feature.module, what it contains? Can I open this? It has Sitecore templates, demo content template. Okay, this template I need. That's why I just provided the template here. If I create any new template in the future, I can provide that information below, putting just comma and create one more. We can do like that. Okay, so maybe I'll just show you. There is a project. The project, we have the demo project module. The demo project module, we have API key. This is the API key. API key is, we needed it. It is a must one. So we need to, wherever we create the environment, this API key need to deploy it. So we need this API key. That's why I provided this API key path as part of the serialization module. So I have the demo headless demo project, and I have this API path. What I'm going to do is right now, I'm going to show you this serialization will run, this will create actually through that command only. What I'm going to do is I just going to delete this. just deleted. Now I don't have the API key in my repository. Now I'm going to do the same code, .NET serialization Sitecore pull. What it will do, it will check all the modules inside the repository. See, now discovered one changes after evaluating 5 items. I have done that. Now if I come to the same location, now the serialization is created in 1809. The time is 609 and I have the API key folder. I have this API key item is created, which means we have to decide which item should be part of your serialization, which item should be part of your deployment. So we have the API key. If I delete that in the repository, if I mention it in the demo module, definitely it will pull whenever we run the command. Whenever it runs through the pipeline, it will pull. So if you remove this, it will not always take the API key. So tomorrow, if you wanted to generate any new things, which you don't require, means you can remove it from the Sitecore serialization. It will not generate the items. It will not create that item in the next pipeline. So this is how it works. So we can easily maintain our items as well through this serialization method, the Sitecore serialization. So use this .NET tool restore and log in this authority for allowing this one. We can pull and push. We can pull from the one instance. We can push it from many more environments. In the test environment, UAT environment, pre-prod, production environment, we can push that by using this serialization post. We have the publish as well. We can still publish through this command as well. We have the publishing. There is a one more command as well available. We can publish as well. It will publish from the master to web as well in the pipeline itself. So this is how we can manage our Sitecore items through the serialization. So next thing is, now everything is there. So we have the front end code, we have the back end code, we have the methodology. The front end we are actually maintaining in the Next.js repository. Back end we have the separate repository. So we are using the SSR or SSG. We have used the custom content resolver, REST, this one, GraphQL, and now we play with the items deployments as well. And finally, where our application is going to deploy, that is the bigger question, right? That is the next step. That is the deployment options. From the front end point of view, we have the number of options. I can't actually show everything here. That's why I just giving you the options. In next session or in the future session, if I get an opportunity, definitely I will share those informations as well. We have the number of options available here: Vercel, Netlify. These are all the subscription based front-end deployment option. And we have the Azure App Services as well. We know, right? App Services. We can still use the Azure App Services as a deployment option for the front end. And Node Server application hosting, we can still use the virtual machine as an option of the Node Server application hosting as well. And deployment option for the backend is, we have the two options. Again, the VM server option or Azure App Services, we can go either options for the backend as well. And this is the checklist chemistry. Next.js application deploy as per the need. For if you want Vercel, if you want the Netlify, if you have the budget, go for it. Or else you create the virtual machines or app service as per the need. You can create it. Sitecore solution and config deploying as per the need. So just use the CI/CD pipeline for the serialization and the items managing and everything. Write build and pipelines, release pipelines for all our front end code and the back end code repository separately to manage all our artifacts and deployment, everything. This is the kind of the process. This is the basic process I'm telling. There are a lot many efforts we need to put to achieve this, and just putting the information. So now we done, right? We may think, okay, we are done with the process from the start to end. But this guy is saying it's not over. Why it's not over? I will tell you. We may think something advanced. Okay, we have to think. We have to very proactive before deciding something. We are working in a modern world. Tomorrow something may happen. Sitecore may come up with a different approach. So once we are tightly working with the one product, which is dependable with the company like the Sitecore, means we have to think the approach what Sitecore is moving towards. So where the Sitecore is moving towards. That's why this is the question everybody should ask once in a lifetime whenever we do something. will application accept smoother migration in the future? This is the bigger question, right? We know Nokia, we know Motorola. So you just take an example. Whenever the smartphone comes into the picture, these guys have not evolved much. So these guys failed to do. So I couldn't say failed, but they have a success in the different field, but they have failed to in the smartphone migration. This kind of the migration can come at any time in your applications, right? We have to think in that point of view. First point, I just collect few points. There are n number of points. Think about Sitecore experience edge schema. There are the concept like Sitecore experience edge schema. They say there is no CD server. There are no CD server is going to available. Whatever I'm showing, right, the content resolver, that content resolver, we are deploying the DLLs in the CD servers. It is actually getting the data from the CD servers. The logics are coming from the CD servers. Tomorrow, there is no CD server means where we are going to deploy this. And experience edge schema is working through only the snapshot of the master database. It is working like the snapshots. So it is working like a screenshot, whatever it is there in the database. So how are we going to handle it? So only fetch with the GraphQL is the only option going forward in the Sitecore XM Cloud. Even we raised the Sitecore support ticket to the Sitecore. They said GraphQL is the best option because GraphQL will write the nested depth. We can go headless data source head. That's why they say always you keep all your data source in the head sections itself. Head. So head on head, which means, okay, it will go in depth nested. It will fetch all the queries depending on the data source. So that would be very easy. So don't go with the separate approach for the data source fetching or something. So it will be very complex when you do the migration. Choose either connected mode or integrated mode GraphQL to use. So I already used the integrated mode, right? That is the GraphQL option is available. So connected mode also, if you have the very front end guy who's building very good GraphQL query means, okay, we can do the another logic as well. We can write the GraphQL in the front end, we can keep it. So this is great actually. So this is thing we need to maintain. So one thing, maybe I'll just stop it here. I just and present it because yeah. Now you are seeing my screen. Are you seeing my screen now? Yeah, we have done with that. I think okay. I haven't get any response.
No, we
Still,
can't see your screen, Raj.
sorry.
We can't see your screen.
Okay, sorry. Okay, now. So thank you so much, SUG Kolkata, for the opportunity to present. So now we have done with this presentation. So this was the last topic I was talking about. If we need to think. So before we deciding and before we moving into the new logics and where we are going and why we are working. And so we have to ask these questions multiple times before deciding. That's why this topic named as a things to consider when you work on the Sitecore Headless Development. So these many topics are there. Okay, I just collected very few. There might be numerous things, numerous other things as well. So I may never experience that. Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for the
Well said,
opportunity.
Raj. It was a great session. I would say that you explained it so well. And thanks, Kaushik, for helping me out.
Thank you so much, Arjun and Kausik and the
We
entire
have
crew of. Sorry.
we have a question.
Yes, yeah.
But
Where should I see that
in the
question?
chat, you can see chat experience editor. How does it work with SSR?
Okay. I haven't seen that chat in from my side. Okay,
Any?
chat here. Okay, so sorry. Yeah, experience. How does it work with SSR experience editor, right? Yeah, so this is working. Yeah, I'll tell you. This is working through the JSS editing secret. Okay, and we have the SSR means the server-side rendering. Sitecore provides the modern UI framework itself. Sitecore provides the properties. Get server-side props. That's it. Get server-side props will get all the server-side context. And if you are using SSG, the Sitecore has the other options as well, static site props as well. So it can provide the data by using this. And we have in Sitecore, sorry, in the front end application, and we have this one. I will show you normal mode and preview mode. Yeah, this is. See here we have plugins, page props factory, right? This normal mode works for the normal page rendering. This preview mode is working for the experience editor. For example, see here, this props, what I was talking about, get server side props context. This is for SSR. So this SSR props, whenever you getting the context.preview, okay, where is false means it will return. Whenever the context.preview is true means it is an experience editor editing concept comes into the picture, then it will give you. So through this library, this file only it is working. So I have a lot of experience in this, and it works through this.
Yeah, thanks, Siraj. Naveen also asked for some link. Naveen, can you please let us know which link you are referring here?
Okay, let me share this link, maybe the document link. I will give whoever want. The code is front end. How this? Okay, 1 minute. Let me. Yeah. So whoever want, just ping me in LinkedIn. Just share your email ID. I will just give you the access of this documentation. Okay. My LinkedIn is Muhammad Sirajuddin. If you search for Muhammad Sirajuddin Sitecore, my name will come first. Let me show my profile as well. If you still wanted my profile, then this is my profile. And see, this is my profile, Muhammad Sirajuddin, and I am right now in Kuala Lumpur. So you can connect with me. And you are one more question is this code is front end. How does it work on CM side? Yeah, this is how I said, okay, it's working in connected mode. So this code is in front end only, I know. So, but how does it work in CM side means, okay, connected mode. So whenever you are in the disconnected mode, you can't work. So that's what I'm said, rendering host and the Sitecore instance. Rendering host is the front end app. Front end app will always running into one server, and that is Node.js server. And second is the Sitecore instance app. So that will run in the another server. So this server will fetch the data from this server. So the server side rendering engine URL we have to configure. So I will show you where to configure in that configuration file. So see here, I'll quickly show. This is the last thing. Maybe we are running out of time. I will show that. Okay. See here the app config and Sitecore. Include ZZZ Sitecore. I just opened this. Let me open this. See here, the Sitecore engine endpoint URL. Here we have to give the local host, the front-end application URL. So once you give the front-end application URL, this will fetch the data from there. So I think, okay, I answered your question. The code is front-end means this will be fetching through this endpoint URL. How would you secure your GraphQL queries? GraphQL itself is secure. We can secure easily. And our GraphQL queries, GraphQL is very fast and effective as well. And whichever you want, you can directly put that query and you can get whatever you want. So that is very much. Only thing is, okay, we can't do any adjustment or model rebuilding in the GraphQL as well. But if you wanted to do, we have the other options as well. Custom graph type, we can do that via that one. So yeah, if any further questions, maybe you reach out to me in the LinkedIn. I will definitely help you out. Yeah, so because I promised for the 1 hour session, but it is extending now 1 hour 25 minutes. Thank you for the patience, guys. Actually, very sorry. It was little longer session. to
Yes.
do some fruitful discussions here.
But it was very informative and a detailed session. So thank you, Siraj, for the session, and thank you all for joining us and for your patience and managing the time in the weekdays. Chetan,
Yeah, maybe, Chetan and Naveen, okay, you can ping me in the LinkedIn. I will respond you, okay?
you can also get the LinkedIn URL in our SUG Kolkata website also.
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
Sharing the link.
Yes. Okay.
thank
Thank
you
you
all.
guys once again, June and other crew of Sitecore Kolkata team. Okay. You were very responsive, and thank you so much for this opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you
Thanks,
all.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.